Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining today. I thought I would kick things off by asking about your background. Then I could ask some questions about the company and kind of your role and like your vision for where things are headed. But maybe you can kick things off by asking about how you got involved with the company in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's kind of an interesting story. So I was working in Shanghai, in the Pharma Valley area of Shanghai, and there's a Starbucks there that's in the middle of that, where all the sort of pharmaceutical companies are. And I just happened to bump into Ming Kuei.
Mm.
Like, we didn't know we were there. We just bumped into each other in Shanghai, and he said that he was going to be starting Aprinoia and wanted somebody to run the chemistry group. So it really sounded like an interesting opportunity. So I came.
Well, on a related note, I was curious if you could tell me about the potential impact of APN 1607 and other tracers for the diagnosis and treatment of neurodegenerative disease.
Yeah, it's a very well. The whole area is a very exciting area. There's several different uses that we envision that tracers can be helpful for patients. Especially one of the early uses is the use of the tracers as biomarkers in clinical trials for really difficult diseases like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease. And so that allows new therapeutics to be evaluated, faster, and also to stratify patients, to be more precise in the patient populations that you're looking to evaluate and looking to help. And so hopefully that makes for faster, more efficient clinical trials. The second part is just for outside of a clinical trial setting, just to let physicians have an idea of a more accurate diagnosis. So there's blood biomarkers, which are very exciting development now, and that's a fast readout, but the PET imaging tracers will give a much more detailed state about the disease status for patients.
So on a different note, I was interested to hear kind of about the timeline. And do you pronounce the APN, the monoclonal antibody, is it MAB5?
Yeah, 005. Not quite 007.
005.
Yeah.
That sounds easier for me. So maybe you could talk about the timeline for 005's clinical trials.
So we've just initiated the phase 1 clinical trial for the monoclonal antibody. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's starting. That's already started this year. So we're hoping that should wrap up by the end of this year. Start into a phase 1B or phase 2. It's in the next year, in 2024.
Mm-hmm. So to kind of ask a big question, I'm curious about the role of AI in drug discovery and development. And as an aside, I got like a free trial of a ChatGPT based system for drug discovery. You can type in answers about like clinical trials or about drugs that are in development. It spits out references. I was having fun playing with that, but it's a huge question, obviously. But would love to hear your thoughts on kind of where you see AI going in drug discovery. Company.
It's a super powerful tool, and I don't think anybody really knows how to use it optimally yet. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of experimentation going on out there. I've used it a couple of times. We've done some collaborations with in silico and for some generative AI work. So that is creating new structures. We're starting to look at it more now as a tool for predicting existing structures. So we have a set of compounds. We want to rank those compounds, and we can use AI to help us rank the compounds rather than sort of generate the compounds de novo. Mm-hmm. But I think both of those, from my perspective as the chemist, I think those are the two sort of main areas. Generating new structures, using the AI sort of capability to generate new structures and new IP space, and also to help you rank the compounds that you do have already in terms of which ones should take priority in assays.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
There's a whole other side of biology. There's a whole other biology side which can use with genetics and to repurposing of drugs and identifying targets. I think that's also really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Could you say just a bit more about that collaboration with Insilico? I think I got a press release even this morning from them. It seems like they're doing a lot of stuff. And I think that one was about they're working with the university and they created a proposed drug in record time, like maybe 30 days, if I recall correctly. So I see a lot of press releases from them.
That's right. They're pretty experienced with using the AI tools in pharma. And so the project that we were with them is to generate new IP space in one of our projects. And And so we work with them to sort of generate a list of compounds, and it's just amazing how many compounds they can spit up. But we still have to go over, at this point, the chemists still have to sort of pour over all the structures and sort of decide which ones we can actually physically make or not. So there's still some bottlenecks, I think, there to be worked out, but it does seem like a really fun and powerful tool for the chemist to use.
It seems like I keep on hearing about that theme where there's this exploration of what is the ideal mix of human and machine. And like, as you mentioned earlier, it's still kind of exploration to figure that out, but a lot of interesting data so far.
Yeah, that's right. I think, because computers and people sort of interface or use different sort of modes of work, right? So I think computers are really good at, and the AI sort of systems are really good at crunching large numbers of data and just can handle a much larger volume of data. But the people sort of know how the labs work and are much more limited in terms of the throughput. So you have to be much more selective as a person what you're going to actually physically work on.
Mm-hmm. So briefly, could you talk about the company's pipeline and research and kind of just give me a brief overview of what's going on there?
Yeah. So our main products right now are PET imaging tracers, APN 1607, which is in phase 3 in China and phase 2 in the United States. But we've always viewed ourselves as a therapeutics company. We're just developing the biomarkers first.
Right.
That's the project. So the biomarkers will enable our therapeutic development. So based upon our expertise on developing the biomarkers for both tau and working on alpha-synuclein as well, we've taken that expertise and changed that into therapeutic programs. So we have the tau antibody, which we mentioned briefly, and also we're working on protein degradation programs for both alpha-synuclein and tau. So that's for both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So those projects right now are in the preclinical stage.
Another kind of big topic, there's a lot going on in drug development with neurodegenerative disease and diagnostics and treatments. Was curious if you could just kind of share your view of where things are likely headed in the coming years and how the company kind of stay at the forefront there.
Yeah, this is a really exciting time to be involved in CNS research, especially if you just look at Alzheimer's disease. People and patients and doctors have known about sort of Alzheimer's disease for over 100 years, but only in the last 1 or 2 years have we had disease-modifying therapies available. And now that sort of I think there's some sort of sense that the dam is broken, and now that we've finally made that first beachhead against Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, that there's a lot more opportunity here to start really making an impact on these diseases. And then, as far as where Aprinoia sees ourselves, I think again, our main strategy is to work on the biomarkers as tools so that we can more quickly evaluate our therapeutics, more efficiently evaluate the therapeutics, and get a result as quickly as possible.
Backing up to the topic of tracers, I was curious if you could talk about the challenges involved in developing tracers such as the APN 1607 and how the company has overcome those.
Yeah, actually working in the PET tracers is very exciting because you can much more quickly get into patients and see the relevancy of your research much faster than you can with a therapeutic. So that's very gratifying from the scientific side. Mm-hmm. The challenges for the PET tracers is it's a different type of chemistry than traditional medicinal chemistry. It's all radioactivity, and there's a lot more safety and regulatory paradigms to follow with the radioactive chemistry.
On a different note, so I saw the company has a few collaborations with some big pharma companies. Was interested to hear more about kind of what those collaborations entail and how that's benefited the company.
Yeah, it's really great. I think with our collaborators, they bring sort of our collaborators tend to be big pharma companies, and they tend to bring just sort of the standard resources that maybe a small company is not able to develop all. So we have our expertise in tau and alpha-synuclein, but we don't have all the ancillary assays in-house. And if we wanted to run selectivity screens or ADME screens, that's sort of a longish process to set up contracts and collaborations. But now we can tap into those resources that are available at larger companies while still being sort of a small, nimble company. So that's really great. And so the way, and from the larger company side, we all get to have access to these new tracers, which are good for their therapeutic programs, for our therapeutic programs. And so it's sort of a win-win situation.
Also, on the note of collaborations, I saw the company got a grant from the Michael J. Fox Foundation for the PET tracers for Parkinson's. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, it's been great being associated with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. They really bring together the community of researchers around alpha-synuclein research, and so that really gives us a chance to connect with colleagues and share ideas in the same people that all working in the same space.
It's kind of a big question again, but which milestones or announcements tied to your pipeline are you most excited about kind of going forward this year?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think about that. I think it'll probably be, if we can extend that deadline out a little bit more, maybe next year, I would really like to have an announcement that that our protein degradation projects, which are really cutting edge, have gone into human. I think that would be a career-making statement in a company, a career, company, and patient-making, statement.
So again, kind of like a broad question, but it seems like we've touched on these themes a little bit in the interview as far, and was curious about, as the head of medicinal chemistry, what are you most excited about? It seems like there's several different layers here. We talked about the AI, like the tracers, the partnerships. Maybe it's all of it together, but kind of what stands out to you?
I think science is always changing, but I think we're really at an inflection point here. With the tools are becoming much stronger, and I think the correct utilization of those tools, such as AI, and just the amount of knowledge that we have, the collaborations that we can set up, I think that is really creating a lot more potential than has been available to scientists even in the recent past. And I think that's really going to accelerate and optimize the drug discovery process. And so not only is this, I think in the future we'll hopefully see that translate into faster turnaround times for going from conception of personalized medicine into treatment, but also just make that faster and more powerful.
So curious too about to hear, you talked about some of the promising research areas and technologies that you believe could have a big impact on the diagnosis and treatment of neurodegenerative disease, but I was wondering if you could say it's a little more on that theme.
Yeah, so I just came back from the AD/PD meeting, and there's a lot of different phase 2 clinical trials going on for Alzheimer's disease, looking at inflammation or microglia or lipid metabolism. So I think we'll start to get some readouts on these different aspects of Alzheimer's disease besides just the tau. And I think my feeling is that we're going to need to use multiple of these modalities in order to access the disease, but we're finally getting a handle on each aspect of those.
Curious if there's anything else.
I'm not talkative enough.
I'm curious if there's anything important that I've neglected to ask about that you think is pivotal or important.
So I think we've hit on a lot of it. I think AI is going to be a big tool for handling the large quantities of data, from biology and chemistry that are associated with genetics and proteomics. I think we've talked about the different modalities for treating, especially Alzheimer's disease, that are coming online now, and we'll have a readout on those pretty soon. And so I think all of this is coming together at just the right time, and I think the future is going to be very promising for CNS diseases, and it's a great time to be in the area.
Well, cool. I appreciate your time. It was interesting hearing about the company and your view kind of of the future and what's going on now with the company. So I learned a lot.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Brian. It was fun.
Cool. Appreciate it again. So enjoy the rest of your day.